CBC Here and Now.
Well, the chase goes on in the ghouls.
A record crowd last night for the latest chapter in the Chase the Ace saga.
At game time, an estimated 70,000 players were in the area of St. Kevin's Church, each hoping, of course, for a chance at the nearly $2 million jackpot.
Wow, and the big moment came. It was Julie Mitchell who had a date with destiny, but instead of the ace of spades, she picked the king of clubs and walked away with the consolation prize, more than $260,000.
Of course, that all sets the stage for an epic conclusion next week.
Yes, one final game next Wednesday for all of that money. And Zach, you were there last night. 70,000 people. Can this get any bigger?
It is hard to imagine, but now with the guaranteed grand finale set for next Wednesday, it almost certainly will be bigger. And consider this, with an estimated crowd of 70,000 people, last night's Chase the Ace is very likely the largest public gathering in the history of Newfoundland and Labrador. Unbelievably. But in fact, nothing else we can think of even really comes close. So let's look back at some other huge events like Pope John Paul II's 1984 visit to St. John's. A public mass drew an estimated 40,000 people. A few years later, Rod Stewart performed in the city for the first time. His outdoor show at Pleasantville brought out 30,000 fans in 1989. And more recently, the 2013 Eagles concert in Grand Falls, Windsor drew a crowd of 21,000 people. And then there's last night, 70,000 people, way ahead of the other events on this list. Other big events we considered, like the 1988 Beach Boys concert in Grand Falls, Windsor, the 1983 Royal Visit in St. John's, and the Millennium Fireworks at St. John's Harbor. But guys, nothing really comes close to Chase the Ace.
Wow.
Yeah.
So, Zach, what's happening behind the scenes to prepare for this massive event?
Lots. As you can imagine, they are planning for a grand finale. Today, there was a big meeting at St. John's City Hall, what they call the Special Events Planning Committee. It's an all-hands-on-deck meeting. The city, the province, the RNC, St. John's Regional Fire Department, and, of course, the Chase the Ace organizers. For planning purposes, that committee is aiming for a similarly sized crowd, perhaps even bigger. And of course, more people, more potential problems. The biggest of which is the long lineup for tickets. So yesterday, that line stretched for several kilometers for most of the day. In fact, when ticket sales cut off at 8 p.m., there were still thousands of people in line who had to walk away empty-handed. So to avoid that happening to you next week, get there early. Many people waited an hour and a half in line yesterday, 2 hours in some cases. Because of the increased demand next week, ticket sales will begin at 8 a.m., an hour earlier than usual. But that's about all they can do to move more people through. There's just no room in that hall for extra ticket sellers or tables. And guys, they have no flexibility with the 8 p.m. cutoff time.
Oh my. So when you look ahead to next week, how do you think that final game will unfold?
That's a good question. It's one that a lot of people are asking. So here's what you need to know. As we've been reporting, the format for the final game is going to be a mega draw. They will pull tickets until someone gets the ace of spades. Now, the holder of the first ticket will draw a card. If they pick the ace, hey, congratulations, they win the jackpot and the consolation prize. But if the ace of spades is not selected, they will win the standard consolation prize, and that is 20% of the day's ticket sales. Here's the rub. Any subsequent consolation prizes will be worth $25,000. Those are special prizes that they've created. They don't want people walking away empty-handed. But be ready for a long night. There are 8 cards left in the deck. Each drawing can take about 30 minutes to complete. So finally, just to squelch a rumor, there will be no live entertainment next week. There have been whispers of a band, a stage for performers, but let's put that one to bed right now. There's way too many moving parts already. An outdoor concert, it's too much extra work. Did I mention that 70,000 people is about 13% of the province's population? That's enough.
It's mind-boggling. Who would have guessed when this started?
It's an amazing story, and next week we get the final chapter that really it deserves.
Thanks, Zach. That's Here Now. Zach Gowdy reporting live. And here's what else is making news tonight.
Judy Foote leaves politics, revealing a gene that causes cancer runs in her family.
We have been dealing with a circumstance that, regrettably, we wish we didn't have to.
Needles and the damage done, more and more are being tossed away in public places.
Horrific sexual abuse, how a stepfather was finally stopped.
Rain continues to march eastward across the island into the mix for eastern Newfoundland. Tomorrow, the weekend, prepare for a cool down. The forecast details are coming up.
They're dirty, they're dangerous, and in St. John's, they're not hard to find. Used needles.
Well, tonight, CBC Investigates brings you a story about needles littering the city and a group of parents struggling to keep their children safe. Here in Now's Ariana Kellen joins us now live. So, Ariana, tell us what you found.
Well, right now I'm at McPherson Elementary on Newtown Road. Now, this school closed several years ago, and while there are no needles on the ground right now, there is evidence that people come here to use drugs. This is a snapshot of an injection drug problem that's been growing on the Northeast Avalon, but this particular area isn't the part of concern. In the corner of a schoolyard, a mother teaches her son a lesson he should never have to learn.
This is what it looks like. Regarde, penche-toi un petit peu là. I don't want you to ever pick one up, but if you see it, you come and get mommy right away.
Armed with a homemade needle disposal kit, they scan the ground around their children's school, Bishop Field in downtown St. John's.
To me, that looked like roughly half a dozen, which is pretty standard for every couple of days.
6 needles every few days. It's become a new norm for their kids who once used this back corner as somewhere to hide and to play. These parents know how to properly get rid of needles, but we want to test the system. How long would it take for someone to come pick this up? Our first call is to the city's 311 hotline.
Hi, I'm calling from Bishop Field School in downtown St. John's, and I found a syringe on the ground in a corner next to the school. Yes, on school property.
School property, school problem. So next we called the school district and were told someone would get to it right away.
It is 1:52 in the afternoon, so we're going to see how long it takes for someone to actually come to this area and pick these syringes up. So after waiting around here for an hour and a half, someone from the school district did come and cleaned up the entire space here, picked up several needles and caps, and explained that this was not his first time coming to this particular spot at Bishop Field, and certainly not his first time cleaning up needles around a school.
At the school district office, needles are a worry, but not a crisis.
Are there particular schools of concern in St. John's that you would have to pick up needles more in those places than others?
No, that is not the case. We would certainly be concerned for student safety, and at all of our schools we would have regular scans of school grounds to identify this, and certainly, try to get it cleaned up prior to any students being exposed to it.
A quick look around these abandoned schools found evidence drug users come here too, out of the public's eye. And it's not just schools. It took my cameraman and I just 5 minutes within walking in the Longs Hill area to find this. 7 bloodied needles on a well-traveled path between Longs Hill and Livingstone Street. This time it is city property. The woman at 311 said she'd put the information into their system. So is it worth your time to pick up the phone and call the city? It turns out that it is. It took 2 crew members just 15 minutes to get to this spot on Longs Hill and to pick up 7 hypodermic needles.
The problem is significant, and it's growing.
In 2015, the city received 177 calls to its 311 hotline about needles. The next year, there were 181 calls. This year, there have been 162 calls so far. The city is hoping to install metal needle disposal boxes by the fall.
They have to be steel, they have to be sturdy enough, and then of course they have to be cleaned regularly, and they have to be put in places where people are going to use them.
Get to the back end of whatever the stuff is.
But there are broader issues at play.
You can be mad at people who are injecting drugs, and you can, tell them, that's their problem and not deal with it, but we are still going to be left with with syringes and other types of waste when there are not safe injection sites.
Here at the Tommy Sexton Center, they hand out clean needles, pick up used ones, and educate drug users.
When we go back to 2005, we look at distributing 90 needles in the province. And last year we distributed over 1 million needles in the province.
So what about safe injection sites, a place where drug users can be safe and far away from schoolyards? The number of needles may be rising, but they're not high enough, not yet.
In Atlantic Canada at this point, we don't have large concentrations. It's very dispersed, using throughout the province. Now, at the same time, this is not something that we would not be looking into in the future, depending on the amount of drug use that we see over the next couple of years.
For kids like 10-year-old Charlie Newhook, it's as simple as losing a place to play.
At night, we'll play around here, because we used to just walk around and try to scare each other, but now that this is here, we can't do that.
And that was Ariana Kelland reporting for us this evening. In other news now, she's one of the most powerful politicians to come out of this province. But Judy Foote, the MP for Bonavista Burin Trinity, announced today she's leaving politics. She says earlier this year, she and her children found out they carry a gene making them more susceptible to cancer. She stepped back temporarily in April. Today, she made it permanent. While everyone is healthy, Foote's priorities have changed.
When it hits your children, it's a totally different ballgame, as I'm sure many of you can attest. So we have been dealing with a circumstance that, regrettably, we wish we didn't have to.
Well, her departure has a big impact on this province. So here and now, Peter Cowan is joining us with more on that. What does her loss actually mean?
Well, Debbie, not since John Crosbie or Brian Tobin has this province had a federal minister who has been this tight with the Prime Minister, so that's not easy to replace. She literally sat at Justin Trudeau's right hand in the House of Commons. She was given some of the toughest government files, including the Phoenix pay system problems and military fighter jet procurement. And for this province, she delivered $100 million for the new University Science Building, an expanded loan guarantee for Muskrat Falls, and when the province wanted to reduce the deficit reduction levy, well, she gave it the fiscal room to do so. She talked to Dwight Ball every Sunday, and in the last election, well, she won her district with 82% of the vote, more than any other MP. One provincial MHA recognized the hole that she's going to leave.
It's a tremendous loss to not only our riding, which we've counted on her for so many years in a provincial and a federal capacity, but for the entire province. She moved files in Ottawa. She was our strongest voice at the cabinet table, and we're going to feel this loss.
So, Peter, a big question, who replaces Judy Foote?
Yeah, that's going to be tough to replace her. It's up to the Prime Minister about who will be put in as the regional minister for this province. And there are 6 other MPs to choose from. All but one of them were there today to wish her well. All sang her praises, and the Prime Minister will have to choose who it's going to be. Sources say that the Prime Minister, will replace her before the federal cabinet meets in St. John's in the middle of next month. I want to give you a look at 2 of the top contenders from sources that I'm talking to. Seamus O'Regan is seen to have the edge here. Even though he's a rookie MP, he was Trudeau's best man. He vacationed with Trudeau and his family at the Aga Khan's private island in the Bahamas, so he is pretty tight with the PM. If he wants to keep the current gender balance without a larger cabinet shuffle, Goody Hutchings is seen as the top contender. She's the MP for Long Range Mountains and the Parliamentary Secretary for Small Business and Tourism.
I'm going to look after the people of the Long Range Mountains and the people of Newfoundland and Labrador and the people in Canada however I can. I don't need a cabinet position. It's up to the Prime Minister, whatever he wants to do.
I'm not even going to go there. You know, honest to God, that just goes down a path. It is Judy's day. It's Judy's day. It's Judy's day. It really is. And she deserves it.
So, Peter, what about Judy Foote? Any sense of what's next for her?
Yes, certainly what's next First up is going to be her family, but senior Liberals that I talked to say she's also at the top of the list for the lieutenant governor's job when Frank Fagan's term is up next year. That would make her the first woman to do it, and it wouldn't involve all the travel that's needed for her current job, giving her more time with her family. She insisted today, though, she hasn't been eyeing the job.
I haven't even gone there. We are doing what we need to do as a family. And we're going to let things unfold as they should.
Now, it's expected that an independent committee will create a short list for the candidates for this job, so we'll have to see the short list that they come up with, but ultimately it will be the Prime Minister's choice.
Thanks very much. That's our Peter Cowan reporting for us live this evening. Well, Judy Foote has been on the political scene in this province in one form or another for nearly 3 decades. In 15 minutes, we'll take a look back at her life in politics.
Over 2,500 people responded to the province's marijuana legalization survey. There was broad agreement on some issues. Most people said 19 should be the legal age to consume, and the same rules that apply to smoking cigarettes in public should apply to marijuana. Pot dispensaries were considered a good idea, but opinions were divided about being able to buy it online or at a pharmacy or liquor store. Dennis Kimberly trains students to become social workers, and up next he weighs in on the story of a sexually abused child who slipped through the cracks.
And later we'll tell you about the people from this province who are responsible for connecting a small community in Southeast Africa to the internet.
It was a record-breaking day here in St. John's. Temperatures, yes, topped the 26-degree mark. As we roll through tomorrow, though, we are going to be seeing a bit of a cool down, starting in the 12 to 18-degree range, but a bit of a slip as we roll, especially into Saturday. Here's a live shot as we take a look at the beautiful cam from the rooms. Your full forecast details after the break.
We're learning more disturbing details about a 12-year-old girl who was sexually assaulted by her stepfather, became pregnant, and then got an abortion. Yesterday, the child advocate released a report outlining how the system failed her, and today we're learning about how the stepfather was eventually caught. Mark Quinn is on this story today. So Mark, let's start with the report. Can you remind us what the child advocate said?
Right, so the child advocate said that essentially professionals failed to recognize that this child was being abused by her stepfather, and also they failed to prevent that abuse from continuing. So she laid out the details in a report yesterday that showed that this child had become pregnant after she'd been raped by her stepfather. She was brought to hospital for an abortion. She was given that abortion, then released back to her father. And we found out yesterday as well that the child and the father moved out of the province, and eventually he was convicted and sent to prison. But we didn't know the details of where they went and what happened. So now we've learned more.
Okay, so you've uncovered those details today. Can you tell us about that?
Right, so we got the court documents from Manitoba where this man was eventually convicted. And what it shows is that they went to Manitoba as a family, and eventually he continued to sexually abuse her. Eventually she became pregnant again. She had an abortion again. Then he continued to sexually abuse her. It's a really sad, gruesome story. But then it took a turn. She had a friend, a 13-year-old friend, who he was attracted to, and one night he decided to sexually assault her as well. And he broke into her home. He was disguised with a hoodie. He had a weapon, a pry bar, and he had gloves on. And he broke into her home with the intent of sexually assaulting her, he said later in court. When he got in the home, he got to her room, he told her to get in bed, and he threatened to kill her. Her mother heard her screaming and came out and tried to save her. And when that happened, he beat the mother and the daughter with the metal pry bar, and they both were left, with broken bones and bleeding. And the court documents say they were scarred psychologically, as you can imagine, by this as well. Eventually he was caught and he went to court and he was convicted on these charges. And when that happened, his daughter, who'd been abused and later said she was abused for 26 months, sexually abused as many as 5 and 6 times a week, she said, she finally came around to speaking to authorities and saying what he had done to her, and that led to a prison sentence. And the judge at the time really strongly condemned what the father did. He talked about how calculated and how vicious it was, and eventually he gave him a really stiff sentence, and it was 16 years. So he ended up in prison for 16 years because of the assaults and the sexual assaults on his stepdaughter, on the child who was a friend of his daughter, and the mother of that child as well.
It's such a sad and shocking series of events, but where was the mom in all of this?
Yeah, the court documents talk about that as well. I mean, she apparently had a substance abuse problem. She was using crack cocaine, according to the court documents, and because of that, she was unable to care for the family and the children. So she was actually out of the picture before they came to Newfoundland, and was out of the picture as well when they were in Manitoba. We don't really know what happened to her, but we know that she wasn't part of this family when they were here in Newfoundland and subsequently as well.
Okay, Mark Quinn, thank you very much. And we're going to stick with this story. This afternoon, I also spoke with a professor of social work, Dr. Dennis Kimberly. So Dr. Kimberly, you train people to become social workers. As you were going through the report, what jumped out at you?
Well, the first thing is that the child youth advocate has been very pointed in critique and recommendations. And most of them would be considered standard practice in the field. The sad thing is that it wasn't standard practice in this case, and the next net result is we have a young woman who not only had 1 abortion but 2.
Why do you say that it was pointed?
There's very specific recommendations in the language in terms of the actions expected in that regard, but there's also some attitudinal language that's important there. Attitudinal language that we were very familiar with around the time of the Hughes Inquiry and the Winter Commission, but we've lost a bit since. So, for example, there's language about being child-centered, the rights of the child, and the need of the child for protection. And in that, the language that the advocate used was, when in doubt, basically you protect the child. And if you don't know, you investigate. As opposed to assuming that the information's not there, you investigate. Because if you take a look at the decision tree in this case, those were significant errors. The other is that I think it was pointed that the physician in particular had an attitude, well, I don't want to be judgmental. If we're going to protect children, we have to be judgmental. it's more forensic interviewing as opposed to a nice, patient to doctor relationship type of interviewing. And it's this type of interviewing that will get at the likelihood, when you look at the facts of the case, that this child was manipulated before she went in to see a doctor or before she went into Planned Parenthood, and was under the control of the person who was manipulating her while she was in these settings.
Is there anything more that you would have liked to have heard from the child advocate in the report?
One of the things that I think may be important and could have been more pointed, it may be implied, but it's not stated directly, and that's that if a child is 12 years old and shows up and wants an abortion, not only does that child need pre and post child-centered counseling, but my bias, based on my experience, would be that child should automatically be brought to the attention of Children's Protection. Okay, if a 12-year-old is having an abortion, it should be checked out.
The students that you see, I mean, it's pretty safe to say that they're there to become a social worker because they want to help people. Is there anything more that should be done in the training stage of this?
There are a number of things. The first thing is that it might surprise Newfoundlanders to find out that while we have one of the first and an advanced child abuse and child protection course in the School of Social Work, it's not required. It's optional. And it was recommended years ago that this course become mandatory. About the time of the Hughes inquiry again, it was never made required.
What kind of a difference would that make if it were made mandatory?
Well, there'd be more students going into Children's Protection who had that significant training, because it's not just basic training, it's kind of a level above. The other is that other disciplines like nursing and medicine need training is important as well.
Time now to turn our attention to the weather, and I would love to be able to hang on to a day like we had today. Gorgeous.
And a record breaker.
Yeah, I heard.
For St. John's, 26.3 was the high today, so we broke our old record set back in 2003. And have a look at the other highs across the province today. Lots of mid-20 temps across the island, 26 in Bonavista, 24 in Gander. Terra Nova got to 26 degrees. Deer Lake got to 25. Corner Brook around the 24-degree mark as well. So it was a really, really nice day out there. Now, again, St. John's broke that record for August the 24th. No other records broken today. A couple of close calls. Daniels Harbor, also Terra Nova, Port-au-Basque got close as well, but no other actual records broken on the island other than St. John's. Now, current temperatures, 24 right now, so it's still a lovely evening out there. 23 in Corner Brook. Yeah, cooler today, certainly in Labrador, with winds wrapping in from the north on the other side of this system. And so not much in the way of humidity there. On the island, feeling a little on the sticky side, no doubt. A little tough sleeping last night. It'll be the same again tonight, as temperatures and dew points are going to be hovering in that 16-18 degree range for most of us. We will again continue to see that dew point ride in that uncomfortable range through the day tomorrow, particularly over the eastern half of the island. Winds, yeah, Mother Nature at least providing a little bit of a natural fan, so just crank the window open, and that breeze has been blowing in quite nicely, though that eases off through the day tomorrow as well. Satellite and radar picture, we are seeing the heaviest rains have wandered from western Newfoundland and are now tracking up over central. Pretty good round of rain here, just approaching the Burgeo area down towards Grey River, and also the Coast of Bays area over the next little bit. That will roll up into central Newfoundland for this evening. Again, Labrador, the steadiest precipit's been from Nain back through Labrador City. Starting to see some of those showers as expected shoot in to Happy Valley, Goose Bay and the southeast. And as we back things out here, we are talking about this system that stretches all the way down past the Maritimes, and still plenty of precip and a new low just starting to take shape here south of Nova Scotia. That will be bringing some heavier rains in for the later stages of Friday and into Saturday. So here's how things play out. Everything through this pretty narrow corridor of moisture through tonight into tomorrow morning. By 7 a.m. we're going to be starting quite nice across western parts of Newfoundland, but I still think it's showers or periods of rain. Grand Falls, Windsor to Gander, towards the Bonavista Bay area and then back down towards Fortune Bay and the Costa Bays. Chances some drizzle or shower activity for the Burin. Not ruling it out for the Avalon either, but generally a mainly cloudy start. Scattered drizzle. Couple of steadier showers possible for Labrador. As we roll throughout the day, scattered showers for Central, a couple of steadier periods of rain possible into the afternoon, but I think it's more so tomorrow evening into the overnight where we get into some of those really heavier rains that are going to track through eastern Newfoundland. We'll start around the 17-degree range by the time we get to 7 a.m. tomorrow morning. We are going to be tomorrow afternoon in the 20-degree range inland. Note the wind direction becoming light. So I think the fog monster kind of starts to approach into downtown, the east end. We're going to start to cool off, and then that will really take over for tomorrow evening, 16 degrees and some periods of rain. So it's the eastern half of the island that's a little on the unsettled and cloudy side tomorrow. The western half of the island looks okay. And Mr. Majumner not looking too bad there in Burlington at 22 degrees, of course, for a little festival going on there. The gathering. Not so much for Saturday. We'll talk about that coming up. Single digits and low double digits along parts of the coast. 14 in Happy Valley, Goose Bay. Again, general northerly winds, but not so bad in the Straits. We'll talk about Saturday and the whole weekend and the long range coming up. Debbie.
She's played a role in some aspect of political life in this province for nearly 3 decades, but now Judy Foote is taking her leave. We'll hear more from her and walk you through her political career in about 5 minutes. Well, as we showed you earlier, Liberal MP in this province's regional representative in the federal cabinet is leaving politics.
Yes, here's more of what Judy Foote had to say today about why, after 20 years, she's closing the political chapter of her life.
The jobs that I've had have required me to be on the road. And I've done that despite having cancer twice. But I want to assure everyone that I continue to be, as far as I know, cancer-free. The reality is when something happens to you, you're able to deal with it. And you just keep going. And that's what I did. 20 years ago, I had my first bout of cancer. The last was 3 years ago. But I also have a gene called BRCA2. And it's hereditary. And having the testing done to determine whether or not I had the gene, I do, which necessitated, of course, my family being tested. And unfortunately, it has also impacted my children. And what the BRCA2 gene means is that you are susceptible to any number of cancers. And when it hits your children, it's a totally different ballgame, as I'm sure many of you can attest. So we have been dealing with a circumstance that, regrettably, we wish we didn't have to. But having said that, all is well. But it is an eye-opener, and it puts things in perspective. And when you have been doing what I've been doing for the length of time that I have, with a very, very supportive family, they've been behind me so much, and at no time ever suggested that I should give up the jobs that I love, the life that I love. But you know, more than the jobs and the life, I love my family. So this decision is ours. It's my decision to be with them where I need to be and where they need me to be.
So moving back to private life, to spend some time with her family. But I wonder if it's the last we've seen of Judy Foote on the public stage.
Yeah, people are wondering about it, and she loves being active. So as Peter Cowan said earlier, maybe a lieutenant governor, who knows? So she is arguably the most accomplished female provincial politician, notwithstanding Kathy Dunderdale's rise to the premiership, but it has been a long and very productive run. Here's a quick look back. Judy Foote gained a provincial profile as communications director for former Premier Clyde Wells. She was by his side throughout the tumultuous Meech Lake Accord debates. Then it was her turn to try elected politics. Foote represented the district of Grand Bank from 1996 to 2007 and held numerous cabinet posts under Brian Tobin and Roger Grimes. Foote resigned from provincial politics to run federally and quickly rose through the party ranks, becoming Deputy House Leader and Party Whip. But it was the 2015 federal election that solidified her political power. She won her seat with nearly 82% of all votes, the highest percentage for any candidate in the country.
As Minister of Public Services and Procurement, so help me God.
Justin Trudeau appointed her to cabinet, and it became clear Foote was a trusted member of his inner circle, taking on tough issues. In the House of Commons, Foote's seat was right next to Justin Trudeau. Judy Foote was also considered a friend of the provincial Liberals. She delivered an expanded Muskrat Falls loan guarantee, money for Munn's new science building, and fiscal breathing room to help the province lower its deficit reduction levy. So, Carolyn, it's going to be interesting to see who Prime Minister Justin Trudeau appoints to replace Judy Foote.
Absolutely, and as we heard earlier, the federal cabinet is set to meet in this province next month, so it probably won't be long before we find out the answer. Up next, the story of some people from this province who are introducing the internet to people a world away.
Welcome back to Here and Now. A group of volunteers from this province has connected a small community in Southeast Africa to the internet. Rotary has been sponsoring a community in Zimbabwe for the past 20 years. And this year, along with supplies for the hospital and the school, volunteers, a team of specialists, went to set up Wi-Fi. Here and Now's Jeremy Eaton with that story.
The school children of Chalanyambai have lots to sing about these days. Thanks to a $100,000 grant from Rotary International, a team and a 40-foot container full of goods have brought needed supplies to Zimbabwe.
I would say the theme from this project was a lot of empowerment.
The Rotary brought the much-needed supplies like medical equipment for the hospital, but they also brought professionals to teach the locals.
It wasn't just us giving them, it was us working with them so that they could help themselves, even when we leave.
One of those people, Memorial University's main IT guy.
We preloaded the Raspberry Pi device. It's a $35 computer. We preloaded that device with 400,000 videos, tutorials.
The Raspberry Pi is also a Wi-Fi hotspot, meaning the village of 40,000 can now log on to the World Wide Web.
Quite shocking for me to go into a community. For me, it was like going back in time when I first started using computers back in the late 80s.
To run the 85 new computers that they brought, they needed to find a way to power them. Teaming up with MUN engineering students, they found a solar solution.
I think it's something that you have to do. It's so different. I've traveled the world, and it's so different than anything I've ever done before. It's something that you almost need to do to experience how special it is and the feelings that you get by helping a community like this.
Just love going back. They're like our family there. We have grown really connected to this community. We understand what their needs are.
Rotary doesn't know when it will go back to Zimbabwe, but the group is happy of the work that it's done there. Jeremy Eaton, CBC News, St. John's.
Earlier in the show, Here and Now's Ariana Kelland told us about concerns in St. John's over the number of used needles littering property in the city. Now, one of the questions to come out of her report is, what should you do if you spot needles on the ground? Ariana went looking for an answer.
So we have a hard plastic container here. So what's this for?
So the hard plastic container is to dispose, you're using it as a receptacle for the needle for disposal. So this is a hard plastic container, and you can use any type of a hard container, a tougher plastic, anything other than pop bottles, which are, the plastic is quite thin and the needle can penetrate. Right here we have tongs. These are professionally used by the City of St. John's and ourselves when we're out discarding needles. But you can use tongs that you use every day in your kitchen.
Okay.
At least it's keeping you out of contact from the needle. So basically you can pick up the needle and you discard it directly into...
Okay.
Now, most people don't have these. What we do recommend is puncture-proof gloves, which we encourage all institutions to have on hand, particularly schools, where we know that needles are found in playgrounds.
So what would be the proper way to pick up a needle if you don't have tongs?
So basically, if you don't have tongs, we ask that you either use rubber gloves, latex gloves, or preferably puncture-free gloves, and you pick it up directly in the center of the needle, making sure that you're not touching the needle, and you discard it.
And this can go to in your own garbage, or the AIDS committee can pick it up?
Yes, or the City of St. John's. We recommend that people not put it in the landfill if at all possible, because the service is available. We can go and pick them up. And also, if you do call us, it makes us aware that needles may be in the area, which then we are able to have volunteers to go out and do scopes of areas.
Ryan, everyone's looking forward to the weekend, of course, but you do have some news coming out of the tropics.
That's
too.
right. It's the Gulf of Mexico that this Harvey storm, which everybody's been watching, it dissipated as it moved over the Yucatan Peninsula, and now it's redeveloping. This to start off, will not be a story for us, but it is going to become a major news story over the next couple of days, no doubt, because this storm is really going to inundate. Now we dropped the last satellite frame there, but you can see it is a very impressive storm that's rapidly strengthening. And look at this rainfall forecast from the National Hurricane Center over the next 7 days. Locally up to 750 millimeters of rain, over 15 inches possible for many areas along the southeast parts of Texas. Houston could see more than 10 to 15 inches. So yeah, that is more than a foot of water. Now that is just the rainfall from this storm. As it moves in, likely as a Category 2 or Category 3 storm, we're talking about obviously hurricane force winds and a massive storm surge as well, that if it coincides with high tide, we're talking about a 6 to 12 foot potential storm surge. So very, very bad storm. Why so much rain? Well, look where it is on Saturday, and then as it rolls basically nowhere, sits and stalls Sunday into Monday and Tuesday. The storm will weaken, but basically with no upper level steering winds, it is going to be parked in this area for 2, 3, 4 days and basically rain itself out. So that is going to be a very bad situation. You're going to be hearing lots about Harvey over the next couple of days, and fingers crossed the forecast changes there and that thing does not do what it is looking like it is going to do. Satellite and radar picture closer to home shows, yes, this line of rain that's been slowly pushing eastward across the island over the last couple of days, and it is now into central parts of Newfoundland. Eastern Newfoundland gets into the mix tomorrow. As we show your latest future tracker, there is the rain for tomorrow morning over central. Couple of showers possible across the Avalon into the afternoon hours. Looks like the steadier rains late afternoon in around this time will start to push through. Tomorrow evening is looking like a damp one across the Avalon if you do have some Friday evening plans. Sunny breaks developing over the west. Central, mainly cloudy, some scattered showers in there as well with that rain, periods of rain potential as well. Clearing out nicely in Labrador City, still a little unsettled and cool in southeastern parts of Labrador. There's the rain that will really roll through Friday night in through Saturday morning. It's a mild start on the Avalon. We'll see temperatures falling into the afternoon. Clouds linger, scattered shower chances with some periods of drizzle possible as well. And so yeah, we're talking about highs near 13 on Saturday for Central, down towards the northeast coast, starting at 16 in St. John's, but temperatures dropping. We're going to be even seeing clouds linger for western parts of Newfoundland with a chance of drizzle there. Again, clearing out slowly but surely across Labrador. 3 big festivals, Eastbound Hoedown this weekend, Atlantic Fest, and The Gathering. You can see where temps on Saturday afternoon into Saturday evening. Really going to start to cool off in Central. Mr. Majumdar, again, I apologize when we talked about sunny and 26. For the last day, I forgot we had to divide by 2 for that. That is, yes, just 13 your high there on a Saturday. The big theme here, bundle up. While the shower and drizzle chances are certainly there, they do taper off into the later parts of the day. As that system pulls away, we become mostly cloudy and just a cool setup into the evening. As we look ahead to Sunday, lots of cloud cover over the southeast half of the island, and an onshore flow will keep temps cool. We're warmer as we work our way inland and towards the northwest. 20 degrees in Happy Valley, Goose Bay, perhaps Corner Brook as well. And we'll get back into the 20s just in time for the work week. Isn't that always the way? Actually, it hasn't been a bad summer, but we've seen our fair share of weekends do this, no question. Now as we look into Labrador, pretty nice looking Sunday there into Monday, Tuesday as well.
Let's meet our young athlete of the day. This is 8-year-old Taylor Parrell. Taylor loves softball, soccer, and swimming, but his favorite sport is hockey.
Taylor plays with the novice hockey team in his hometown of Labrador City.
Way to go, Taylor. You're today's young athlete of the day.
Coming up next, we'll show you what happens when the crew of Come From Away meets the crew of Good Morning America for a screech-in.
And welcome back once again. Well, the feel-good Broadway musical that puts the spotlight on Gander is still getting a lot of attention. The cast of Come From Away was on yesterday's Good Morning America television show, where they held a screech-in. They weren't screeching in the hosts. Instead, they performed one of the songs from the musical that showed people how to become an honorary Newfoundlander. Just take a look.
It's moving, it is powerful, we loved it. And it's true, it's the true story of 7,000 flyers who were stranded in Newfoundland, Canada on 9/11, and it tells the story of the town who welcomed them in a time of crisis. Here's the cast performing Screech In.
Heave away, me Johnny's heave away. And if we do return to you, we'll make your cradles rock. Heave away, me Johnny boys, we're all bound their way. Newfoundlander boys, you're leaving us alone. Heave away, me Johnny's heave away. And if you find another, we've got lovers of our own. Heave away, me Johnny boys, we're all bound the way.
Let's make these people honorary Newfoundlanders. Solemn old tradition for admission or audition to transition from a come from away
to be a Newfoundlander.
The only other way at any rate is pass away and pray to fate and wait to reincarnate
as a Newfoundlander. Hey, hey, come on inside. Nothing ventured, nothing tried.
Only a couple people cried and
you'll be a Newfoundlander. Hey, hey, sit down right here. You'll feel better in a year.
Try to ignore your doubts and fears.
And you'll be a Newfoundlander.
We need a couple of volunteers.
Right here. Us!
I have no idea why I'm doing this. Now, the first part is the easiest. We'll soon get to the queasiest. I'll need you to repeat this mess.
When you become a Newfoundlander.
Country speaks a different language, son. We had some S's and some rum. You'll have to try a good cartoon.
When you become a Newfoundlander. Hey, hey, to do your best. Nothing scary, nothing yet.
You'll have to change the way you're dressed.
And you'll be a Newfoundlander. Hey, hey, to sing along. Nothing ventured, just prolong.
There's 30 verses in this song.
And you'll be a Newfoundlander.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is Screech. Back during World War II, an officer was stationed here and was offered some of this stuff. All the locals were tossed in the back with our quiver, so he does too. And then some 10 ear piercing. Everybody comes to see what's happened and says,
what was that ungodly screech?
And now it's your turn. Are you ready?
Bad Jamaican rum.
Screech is horrific.
Screech is delicious.
And then they brought the cod.
The cod!
The cod?
The cod! Now, with every transformation comes a tiny bit of risk. You gotta walk the plank and there'll be blood or there'll be bliss. And it's the same to be a Newfoundlander. Every person's wish, so don't be dumb. Just take the plunge. Go on, kiss the fish. This is a freshly caught Newfoundland cod. And if you want to become an honorary Newfoundlander, you'll have to give her a smooch.
That's the best part. Oh, it's amazing how much attention this is getting. Carolyn, you had the privilege of seeing it.
Oh, yes,
on Broadway.
on Broadway. It was absolutely amazing. And of course, I guess people in Toronto will be able to see it when it starts up there as well. So
excellent. I might get to see it up there.
Our viewer picture of the day from Ron Butt in South Dildo says he had the perfect sunset shot lined up and this guy had to come and photobomb it.
What a shot. It's perfect. Gives it character. More. See you all tomorrow, everybody.